This really feels like the way that Charlotte Tilbury has been going after dupes. It feels like a grown woman stomping her feet on the playground saying, "You can't do this, meh, 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 meh." Like, it feels immature. It appears that Shakira is coming out with a hair care line, and the woman's hair is gorgeous, so it does make a lot of sense. Honestly, if she came out with a makeup line, if she came out with a skincare line, I feel like that would fit too. I'm not sure how many of these Drunk Elephant products by these kids are being repurchased the same way that adults were repurchasing their products. And in embracing these kids, I think that a lot of adults saw this as Drunk Elephant kind of turning their backs on the adults. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to What's Up in Makeup, where we talk about everything that happened across the beauty industry all in one place. I have done all the research. I've done all the digging. I've read all of the articles so that you don't have to. I've compiled them all into one show so you know what's going on. But before we get into what happened this week, we do need to take just a moment to thank this week's sponsor.
Okay, he's passed out. Oh, you're awake. I thought you were so passed out because the Helix mattress was so comfortable. I have a question for you. When you were a kid, did your parents have trouble getting you to go to bed? Because I know mine did, and I'm honestly still like that. I do not like going to bed, and I think it's because I feel like sleeping is kind of a waste of time when I could be doing other things. And what makes it worse is when your sleeping place just isn't comfortable, where it's just not a happy place. It's not a place you want to go. And that's where our sponsor for today's video comes in, Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses, mattress toppers, and bedding designed to give you the best night's sleep of your life. My 17-year-old has been sleeping on a Helix mattress for the past 3 years, and they love their bed so much. So what I wanted to do was try something different, their mattress toppers, and see if it was just as comfortable as Phoenix's bed, and I can confirm, yes, it absolutely is. Here I am unboxing my premium memory foam mattress topper with Glaciotex. The Glaciotex technology keeps the mattress cool all night, even as your body heats up. And as you can see, it was really, really heavy. So I do think this is a job best tackled with a second person. But eventually I did it. Yay, go me. You know, maybe putting it on the bed before I unrolled it would have been a better choice. Lessons learned. The good news is I got a nice workout in the process, and I do not hate that for me. And I love how the height of the mattress added to my existing mattress, making my bed look even more luxurious. Anyway, what's great about a mattress topper is that you can get the comfort of a new mattress while paying a fraction of the price. And with Helix, you can choose between plush or firm depending on your preferences. And if you share a bed, what's great about Helix is that you can choose different levels of firm depending on what you and your partner like. So you can choose the soft, your partner can choose the firm, and everybody can be happy. If you are interested in upgrading your sleep game, Helix is currently having a Memorial Day sale. It is up to 27% off site-wide. If you click the link down in the video description, that will take you right to the website and give you that discount. So again, thank you so much to Helix for sponsoring this video. I appreciate you. And now, my friend, it is time for What's Up in Makeup.
Y'all, the girls are fighting. This time it is Charlotte Tilbury versus Huda Katana, Huda Beauty. And if this were a schoolyard fight, this is how it would go down.
This is so freaking stupid. Darling, that post comparing our setting sprays is utterly misleading. I've reported it for false advertising.
Wait, seriously? It was literally an influencer's review. Not that deep.
It's my reputation on the line, darling. You can't just amplify false claims like that.
All right, chill. I'll take it down. I don't need this mess in my feed anyway. Wise decision, darling. I can't help it if mine's better, but whatever. Not worth the paperwork. Here is the official published sock-free story. An unnamed TikToker did an on-screen test to compare Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Finish setting spray with Huda Beauty's new Easy Bake setting spray. On the screen were words that said strongest setting spray ever with a question mark. In the video, it showed how under the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, the makeup wiped off easier than under the Huda Beauty setting spray. As a reaction to this, the Huda Beauty Instagram page reposted the TikToker's content. And this is when the trouble started because Charlotte Tilbury did not like that. She reported the post to the Better Business Bureau's National Advertising Division, and somehow it was fast-tracked for review. I don't know the inner workings of that company. All I know is it was fast-tracked. But before the NAD could even review the case, Huda Beauty just took the post down. After they took it down, Huda herself went over to the person who had created the TikTok, went to the Instagram repost of it on her page and said, "Hey, thank you so much for this post. Unfortunately, we needed to take it down at the request of Charlotte Tilbury." What's interesting is that not long after Huda made that comment, it was deleted. Now, I don't have a screenshot of Huda's comment, but that's what's being reported in mainstream news. Specifically, there was no mention of who this mystery TikToker was, but me doing the digging that I do believe that I found her. Again, I don't know for 100%, but it matches the timeline, it matches the description. Here is the post from Polish influencer Alexandra Sofsa. It was posted on March 20th, 2025, and it's currently sitting at about 367,000 views. Check it out. Let me know if you think this is the post that the articles are talking about. In the public information about this situation, they go on to discuss that there was no formal contract between this influencer and Huda Beauty, and that there was no compensation provided for this post. But they did note that Huda Beauty had sent this influencer PR in the past, and that the Easy Bake setting spray was part of that PR. NAD says specifically that when an advertiser and an influencer have a long-standing informal relationship that includes providing free products, and the advertiser is aware of potentially unsupported claims made by the influencer, the advertiser may be required to take additional corrective action. Then they note that because Huda Beauty removed their post in good faith and then also talked to the influencer publicly and privately, that they are dropping the case. Based on the public information and assuming that I have found the right video, I'm going to have to go with Huda on this one. This feels like a legitimate way to test setting spray, in that you have a cream contour, you spray the setting spray over top, you give it a little wave, make sure that it's dry. One smudges, one does not. This is good information for consumers. Is it the full picture of what a setting spray can do and what a setting spray should be doing for all forms of makeup? No, but no test is. This really feels like the way that Charlotte Tilbury has been going after dupes. It feels like a grown woman stomping her feet on the playground saying, "You can't do this, meh, 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 meh." Like, it feels immature to me.
Nobody else can steal my beauty DNA. They can try, but they cannot deny. Darling, let me tell you a beauty secret. If you want the real thing, the original, and the best, it's Charlotte Tilbury Beauty every time.
Instead of policing the playground, how about you go to the lab and make something that doesn't do that? Or even better, perform your own tests proving that yours is better. Charlotte Tilbury is always screaming about dupes and how she's the original and how no one can do anything better than her, but the fact is no makeup brand is perfect. There will always be better products from some other brand, at least in some category. Charlotte Tilbury does make some really good products, but so do a lot of other brands, and it's okay to take the L sometimes. For me personally, it just makes Charlotte Tilbury look weak and petty, and she's been doing this for a while. But on the other side, I think this is really important to note from a brand advertising perspective and thinking about the way that brands compare themselves to other brands. And it's a way to take note that if you highlight on your social media the way that Huda Beauty did, even if you didn't create the content, your comparison of your product versus another product, expect the other brand to possibly take some kind of action. Now, it's important to note that the agency that she went up with, the NAD, doesn't really have any real power. They can just kind of write a report about their opinion. If they had found in favor of Charlotte, they could then have reported it to the FTC in the US, and that could have resulted in some kind of consequence for Huda Beauty. They could have had fines, all kinds of things could have happened, but because Huda took it down, it didn't get that far. And honestly, I don't see this as an admission of guilt by Huda Katan. I see this as, really, this is not that deep. Like, it's an influencer review, and it's not worth the time and the hassle, I don't think, for Huda Beauty to fight this, like, really and truly. And taking the high road on this, I think, is very classy and smart. And for me personally, this is just another reason for me not to like who Charlotte Tilbury has presented herself to be as a person. Am I boycotting the brand? No. From what I've seen, I don't think that she's an awful person. I think she's just very passionate about her brand. She really cares about it, which of course she will be. She built it from the ground up. It has her name on it. Like, of course she's going to be passionate about it, but the way she goes about it just seems really immature and petty, like I said a second ago. What it feels like she fails to recognize is that competition is normal, it's natural, and it's good for business. And trying to silence it makes it feel like she's some kind of self-appointed hall monitor for the beauty industry, and it's really annoying. If she would just channel that energy into creating really good products instead, channel the energy into trailblazing instead of worrying about what other people are doing, I think that would be a much better move for the brand as a whole. I know some of you all will agree with me, but I have a feeling some of you are going to disagree, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. In 2025, we have not had the same influx of celebrity beauty brands that we saw in 2024. I mean, it seemed like every other week there was a new one, but we do have a new one this week, and I'm actually quite excited about it. It seems like a really good fit. It appears that Shakira is coming out with a hair care line, and the woman's hair is gorgeous, so it does make a lot of sense. Honestly, if she came out with a makeup line, if she came out with a skincare line, I feel like that would fit too. I'm hoping I'm saying the name of the brand right. It hasn't been said out loud, I don't think, by Shakira yet. I'm going to pronounce it Issima. Hopefully I did okay. There is an Instagram page, but it only has 2 posts on it. And also with the website, there's just a landing page where you can put your email in for notifications about the brand. The caption on the photo on Instagram reads, "Hair has always been such a big part of who I am on stage and in my everyday life. Today is the first day of my North America tour, and looking back, I can see how much the way I chose to wear my hair defined the era I was in and the way I felt. Follow Issima for more to come. Hashtag Issima." So beyond that, there aren't any details yet, but I am very curious to see what's going to happen and what kind of product she's going to come out with. I would imagine there'll be like some curl products, some deep conditioning products, maybe some anti-frizz products. That I would love because I got frizz issues. But I'm super, super curious. We shall see. I'll let you know. Oh, but we aren't done yet. We have a second celebrity line that is launching, this one in the fragrance category. As you know, Revlon declared bankruptcy back in 2022, and since then they have been trying to build their portfolio, and they've been doing pretty well. They had a big hit with their hair dryer brush thing. That thing was huge. They're also, of course, still very well known for their lipsticks and a few other products that have really taken off, and consistent ones that have been consistent for a long time, like their box hair dyes. One thing that they do pretty well that they're not super publicly known for is their fragrance lines. They have been pretty public, though, about this upcoming fragrance line with Grammy-nominated Ice Spice. This is Ice Spice's first fragrance deal, and it seems like even though Revlon is putting it out, that yes, this is a collaboration between the two of them, it doesn't look like there's going to be any branding on it that says Revlon. It's just going to say Ice Spice. But if you are excited about this, I do have some sad news. It looks like it's going to be a while before this launches. They're saying that the expected release is going to be sometime in 2026. But this seems to fit in with a bigger trend that seems to be happening in the cosmetic industry, where brands are tapping into the power of celebrities that are popular with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, either by making them brand spokespeople or in this case, launching an entire line with them. And a problem that Revlon has had is that they're becoming more of an older people brand. And because Ice Spice is mostly known and celebrated by younger people, this might be a great way to get Revlon as a name that is relevant to younger people. Revlon's previous fragrance brands have been more Gen X, millennial, and even boomer focused, with brands like Juicy Couture, Lucky Brand, Christina Aguilera, Elizabeth Taylor, Ed Hardy, and Curve. In the press release, Revlon said that they are going to put an emphasis on Ice Spice's individuality and her cultural relevance, which I think will resonate with a younger consumer, but we'll just have to wait and see. So last week we did a piece that y'all really engaged with and really thought was interesting. So I thought we'd do another one similar this week. Last week's had to do with the top 50 CEOs in the beauty space. Well, WWD put out a similar article this week about the top 100 beauty companies. Now, this is a worldwide list. That's something I didn't say last time. Some people were a little confused and thought they were all from the US and was like, wait, but this person isn't US. It's a worldwide list. And it also includes those beauty brand conglomerates that may have other brands underneath that are not beauty related. So specifically with this list, it has to do with their beauty specific sales. So if they sell toilet paper too, that does not count. It's just beauty sales. According to the article, beauty sales are booming. We were a little nervous about that after the pandemic, but they said beauty sales broke $250 billion globally for the first time in 2024. The top 5 brands, of course, are all parent companies. So coming in at number 1 is L'Oreal, followed by Unilever, Estee Lauder, Procter & Gamble, and LVMH coming in at number 5. But there was a big spread in those numbers, huge spread. So L'Oreal had a whopping $47 billion, even with some early struggles in 2024 with sales in North Asia. That was a huge deal in the beginning of 2024. But if you compare that to number 5, LVMH, they only sold, it's still extremely respectable, $9 billion in beauty sales. But that's quite a spread between 47 and 9 billion. The article also mentions that LVMH's sales would have been higher if they hadn't had that slowdown specifically in China in the beginning of the year. But what I found particularly interesting in this article were the other brands that were mentioned in that top 100, who showed up and who didn't. One that really stood out to me that shocked me was Mary Kay, the multi-level marketing company. They came in at number 11. Number 11, absolutely wild. And this comes at a time when companies like Saint and Beauty Counter and Monat are doing terrible. Saint closed, Beauty Counter is yet to reopen to my knowledge. I haven't checked in the past couple of weeks. And Monat just closed out of nowhere that they may reopen. They're a mess, but apparently Mary Kay's doing really well. I did hear from some of you that they're making a big push in Africa right now, which may account for a lot of those sales. The article doesn't talk about that though. They credit a younger audience with the launch of Mary Kay skincare that was formulated specifically for people that are, they said, not ready for age-defying products. So that's kind of interesting. And L'Occitane came in at number 18, crediting their purchase, probably one of the smartest purchases in modern beauty sales, of Sol de Janeiro. They bought that brand at the perfect time, and Sol de Janeiro is freaking crushing it with those body sprays. Elf Beauty crossed $1 billion for the first time. They came in at number 37. This is an increase of 46% over their 2023 numbers, which is wild. Some beauty MLM companies that seem to be struggling because their numbers are down, so we want to keep our eye on these as possible ones that are going to show struggling in the future, are Oriflame. They came in at 63 with sales continuing to fall 17% this year. And Nu Skin also had a tough year, coming at 66 with a 22.5% decrease in sales from 2023. That is gigantic. As far as more successes, as we go down the list, we see Rare Beauty coming in with slow and steady sales, moving up the ranks to number 80 with $400 million in sales. That is a 14% increase. And keep in mind that a lot of these brands that we've talked about so far, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them have multiple beauty brands underneath them, including Elf Beauty. So the fact that Rare Beauty is just that one beauty brand and that they're coming in this high is a really big deal. Another brand that I was surprised but not surprised to see was She Glam brand. They are right behind Selena at 81, but if all goes well, they're set to pass her in sales because their sales were up 60% in 2024. So what do you think? What do you think about these numbers? What do you think about the placement of these brands? Do you see any brands possibly making the top 100 next year? Do you feel like some of them are going to drop significantly in 2025? Let me know your thoughts. Along similar lines, we're going to talk about two beauty brands that had a really tough 2024. We're going to talk Drunk Elephant. We're going to talk Revolution Beauty. I first saw this information about Drunk Elephant on Kelly Gooch's TikTok. So if you like my content, if you like the beauty news content, Kelly does a lot of that over on her channel. I highly recommend you check her out. She's a lovely human. So just a minute ago, we were talking about how L'Occitane made that excellent, amazing purchase of Sol de Janeiro. Well, in 2019, bought Drunk Elephant for $850 million. They were at their peak at that time. Everybody was losing their mind over Drunk Elephant. The packaging stood out. It was cute. Cosmetic chemists and dermatologists and skincare enthusiasts were raving about the ingredient decks. Yes, it was a bit overpriced, but people seemed to be willing to spend that for that luxurious feel and the efficacious formulas. But then Drunk Elephant got a little too tipsy on their sauce and lost their way a bit in the jungle, so to speak, in that the Sephora kids happened to Drunk Elephant. And at first it seemed like that may have been a good thing. Drunk Elephant went all in on promoting younger kids on their platform. Their Instagram lit up with more bright colors. They even had a post at Christmas time with an elf on the shelf. I mean, they say over and over again that they never marketed to kids, but I mean, maybe not 100%, but I don't think they shied away from it at all. And these kids were going on social media with their Drunk Elephant collections. And I don't think adults made it any better by going to these TikTok accounts of these kids and saying, "Oh my gosh, why are you using Drunk Elephant? That isn't for you. I don't even have Drunk Elephant. Who's paying for this?" And of course, being kids, when an adult reacts that way, what are they going to do? They're going to double down and buy more. And that's going to encourage more kids to buy it because it's seen as a status symbol for those kids to have adults revolting against the fact that they could have Drunk Elephant. But then we started getting the images of the Sephora kids going wild in the Sephoras and making a mess of the testers making their smoothies. And it started to give Drunk Elephant kind of a bad reputation because people didn't think that Drunk Elephant was educating parents and kids enough about the fact that some of their products are just not for kids, absolutely not for kids. So for example, the baby facial, little pale pink top called baby facial. I will tell you, they sent me a PR box way back in the day. It had a bunch of stuff in it. I tried the baby facial and it was way too strong for me. I think it's like 30% glycolic acid. It is a really strong product and my skin could not handle it. I can't even imagine what a child's skin would do with product like that. And if kids did have a reaction, I can see why parents would be like, okay, I'm not buying that for you anymore. Should they have bought it for them in the first place? You know, that's something else we could talk about. But my point is that I'm not sure how many of these Drunk Elephant products by these kids are being repurchased the same way that adults were repurchasing their products. And in embracing these kids, I think that a lot of adults saw this as Drunk Elephant kind of turning their backs on the adults. And in that, As adults, we know we have lots of choices. I wrote down brands like Polish Choice, Sunday Riley, and Tatcha who market to adults, and adults felt, I believe, more embraced by those companies. So it was really easy to just be like, okay, that brand's not for me anymore. I'm just going to go somewhere else and do my repeat purchases over there. So now as a result, Shiseido and Drunk Elephant are kind of stuck because they now are trying to tweak their Instagram to give the message that Drunk Elephant is for everyone, that there are some products that kids could use, like their moisturizer, their cleanser, stuff like that, but that also there are products that could be used by adults very effectively. I don't know if that message is fully coming through. And the possible proof that it isn't going through is that their 2024 sales dropped a whopping 65%. That is huge. They are like a weight on Shiseido, their parent company right now, just dragging them down. Beauty Matter actually reported that Shiseido's sales are down globally, including Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. They do have flat sales across Asia Pacific, except for spikes in Japan, where Shiseido is located. So what's next for Drunk Elephant? I don't know. I don't know how they repair their reputation. I don't know if it's a full rebrand of their packaging. Personally, that's probably what I would do if I were them, is to, I know that packaging was a hit when it launched, but to maybe tweak it to be a little more shelf pretty. Maybe that could do it to bring older customers back in, but I honestly don't know. I feel like they kind of screwed themselves, to be 100%. And only time will get adults to trust the brand again, but I don't know, they may be running out of time. We'll just have to wait and see. The other brand I wanted to talk to you about, because there is another one, is Revolution Beauty. Completely different feel and vibe for the brand. So they reported a 26% drop in their annual revenue in 2024, and now they're reviewing their funding options because their current credit facility is expiring in October. They've been in trouble for a really long time, and it's like they had this window where they could fix things, and it's just not getting fixed. But it is important to note that they're not doing terrible. They're just not doing as good as they used to. So they posted 141.6 million pounds in revenue. This was for the sales ending February 28th of 2025, but this is down from 191.3 million pounds in 2023. And the sales for Revolution Beauty are lower than they were pre-pandemic. The brand did say publicly what they think the problem is, and they said that it's due to fewer products being made, also a weaker US demand, and poor online sales. Shares fell in Revolution Beauty by 40%, which is a record drop for the brand. And things are not getting better. The group is saying that they expect double-digit declines in Q1 due to a bunch of discontinued SKUs, and numbers are already starting to roll in, and it's just really not looking good. Global Cosmetic News said in an article, quote, "While the recent easing of US-China trade tensions has paused some tariff increases, Revolution is in discussions with retail partners about a potential price adjustment in the US, which I would imagine means raising the prices. Beyond that, they are in talks with lenders to extend their $32 million credit. But the problem is that why would they extend it when the brand is not showing that they have potential for growth? It just doesn't make any sense. Just personally, I can tell you what I think the issue is with Revolution Beauty, and it's their products sucked. Their products genuinely sucked. Not all of them, of course. I loved their complexion products, but the complexion products didn't get enough hype. Specifically, the foundations, the concealers were so good, but no one really talked about them. When I say the products sucked, I'm specifically talking about the eyeshadow formula, the powders, the face powders were terrible. Their blushes, their highlighters, a lot of that stuff was really, really bad. And I got Revolution Beauty in PR for a long time until I told them to take me off PR because it was all terrible. It was all so bad. So I think that if they could nail a quality eyeshadow formula at a lower cost, they could really and truly compete But they've sacrificed that quality for so long. I don't know if people are ready to give them another chance. Again, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Time will tell, but I would honestly be shocked if Revolution Beauty makes it through the end of 2025. When that October date hits, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing deep sales, deep discounts over there, and by the end of the year, seeing the brand close, which is really sad because they could do better. It's just a choice. As global markets shift and trade evolves, it's always interesting to see who rises to the top. And right now, there is a new contender in the beauty space, and it's Mexican beauty. We've talked about over the past 6 months or so how US brands and European brands are starting to invest more in Mexico and getting their products in Mexico. Brands like e.l.f. Cosmetics, Charlotte Tilbury, Unilever had a big push there, Ulta Beauty. All of them all want the pesos, but make no mistake, Mexico wants the dollars, the pounds, the euros, and all the currencies as well. And one of the ways that Mexico has been making their mark in the beauty space is, of course, TikTok Shop and playing into the Gen Z, Gen Alpha trends, which is really smart. If you're looking to try some beauty brands out of Mexico, check out Sarelly Sarelly, Aora Mexico, OD Beauty, House of Beau, Botica Floral, and Xinu. Those are all gaining traction over on TikTok. Beyond TikTok, though, Mexican beauty brands are also making their mark on Amazon, which is increasing their sales. But one thing I really like about this is that with the Mexican beauty brands, it's not just about trends. I feel like we've seen in the past so many brands do like the Tex-Mex version of Mexican beauty, you know, where it just doesn't feel authentic. But the Mexican beauty brands know how to do it, and they can be culturally relevant. Besides people in Mexico identifying with that Mexican culture, of course, there are millions of people with Mexican heritage living all over the world that would identify and resonate with these cosmetics. And people are excited to see themselves represented in these brands. And it's really, really cool to watch. So don't be surprised when you start seeing some authentic Mexican brands showing up in beauty stores near you. I never thought that I would say this, but there is a category sold at Sephora that is not a cosmetic category that is really crushing it over there. Hand sanitizer, of all things. And you may already know the brand that I'm talking about. It has made hand sanitizer cool, and it's a brand called Touchland. They've also done something really, really smart in expanding beyond hand sanitizer to hair and body sprays. They also have little cases for their products, which are really cute, really trendy. That's increasing sales as well. And because of that, they have just been purchased for $700 million. A company called Church and Dwight bought them. This is just a down payment though. Depending on Touchland's sales going into the next quarter or two, they could pay up to $880 million for Touchland, which is absolutely wild. I have to admit, I'd never heard of Church and Dwight. And if you're a business person, you're probably laughing at me right now. Like, how could you not have heard of them? But I've never heard of them. I had to Google the other brands and it's like, oh, well, yeah. So they own Arm & Hammer. They own OxyClean. They own the pregnancy test company First Response. They own condom brand Trojan. They also own vitamin brands VitaFusion and Lil Critters. So many other brands that I see in my daily life at my grocery store that I didn't know who owned them. Well, they're owned by Church and Dwight. Clearly, they have a lot of experience growing really, really big brands, but Touchland at this price is a very big risk. So according to the article down below, the price that they're paying is nearly 5.4 times the brand's current $130 million annual sales and 12.7 times its $55 million in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, etc. But how they justified it is that Touchland is the number 2 hand sanitizer brand in the US, only behind Purell. And Touchland is growing fast. The brand sales reportedly rose a triple-digit percentage last year, and they're building a loyal fan base of people that are going back to repurchase these sanitizers. Reportedly, Touchland's founders are staying on board. They didn't say specifically in what capacity, but they are staying on board. They're also keeping the 14-person Miami team on board to help with the transition. Who knows how long they're going to keep it, but it seemed like the plan was to keep them for a while. It just goes to show you never know what's going to catch on, but when you can make a hand sanitizer go viral, you know you're doing something right. In my deep dive that I did called Behind the Controversy, The Rise and Fall of Too Faced, we talked about a post that I had come across on one of the co-founders, Jared Blandino, on his Instagram. He had put up a post a couple of years ago about him and his partner, both in life and in business, Jeremy Johnson, that they were working on this biopic of the history of Too Faced and the growth of the company and Jeremy and Jared as people and all of that. And to my knowledge, that doesn't exist. It never actually happened. But if it did exist, I would absolutely want to watch it. I am all about watching documentaries and behind the scenes of what's going on at beauty brands. So when I saw this, I was really interested in it. And when I read the description of things I didn't know, I was even more interested in this. Apparently, there is a documentary in the works about Ole Henrikson. The documentary is called The Glowing Man, and it is backed by executive producer Niels Jewell with a screenplay by British author James Wiley. Niels is the former managing director of Von Dutch, and he's the CEO of Hot Tuna, and he moved into film in 2008. Since then, he's worked on a lot of Martin Scorsese films, including Silence, The Irishman, and Killers of the Flower Moon. He also worked on the Michael Mann film Ferrari that starred Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. The description of it is what got me here. So it says that the film will follow the skincare guru's life, starting with his immigration from Denmark and his battle with U.S. immigration authorities for legal status. It was complicated, they say, by the fact that he was an openly gay man, and at the time, it was illegal. They said that from 1967 to 1990, homosexual orientation was categorized as psychopathic personality and grounds for deportation. It's wild to me because it doesn't even feel like that could possibly be true, but it is. They announced the documentary at a party at the Cannes Film Festival. Ole said the story will give details about his fight for citizenship and the psychological examinations he had to undergo before the law was overturned. But even with that story that sounds very rightfully dramatic, they say that it's not going to be a drama, that they're going to focus more on it being an inspirational story. They also want it to be music-led. They want to include songs from gay icons of the time, including Diana Ross and David Bowie. The team also says that they hope to enlist some of his other famous friends like Sylvester Stallone and Cher for cameos. They haven't said specifically who they want to play Ole in it, but they're saying they're looking at an A-list celebrity, which is really interesting. To fund the project, they also are looking at a very specific investor, Sephora. Sephora has been reaching into the entertainment world. They did that docu-series that was called Faces of Music. It was only 3 parts, but it was really interesting. The thing about that series, though, that Ole doesn't like is that it definitely felt like it was a commercial for Sephora, and he does not want that as part of his biopic. I don't know. I'm intrigued. Even before the thing has been filmed, just reading the description of it, it sounds so interesting, and I would love to learn more about Ole and his journey just as a whole, and I'm very interested to see when this comes out. I'm assuming it's going to be a while. They say that it's set to film this fall, but I will keep you posted. If I hear anything about it, I'll let you know. And for our lighthearted story this week, we have another ad. And this one, you know what's funny is that Jennifer Aniston is the founder of LolaVie. And I think it's weird that I haven't seen any ads like this where they tap into Jennifer's ability to do comedy. And it's like, dang, it's about time. It's really cute. Check it out.
Jen, we are so excited to show you the commercial we made for LolaVie. Ready?
Ready.
LolaVie. By Jennifer Aniston.
That's the commercial. What do you think?
It feels a little gimmicky.
Like a bad gimmick?
In a good way.
Well, I created LolaVie as a hair care that really works. It's backed by science. We don't say that at all here.
I feel like the hair people are saying that.
No, they're not. There were no mouths.
No, so
That's what was so creepy.
I know.
Well, you know they're made of hair.
And for a hair care product, that's sort of the mother lode.
I'm so sorry. We are just going to have to lose the hair people.
Yep.
Were those hair people?
Yeah.
Now I know they're in the building. Yeah. LolaVie, it just works.
When they came out behind her, I lost it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Absolutely loved this ad. And that, my friends, was What's Up in Makeup this week. Thank you so, so much for watching. And of course, as always, thank you to the What's Up in Makeup Facebook hunters. Their names are scrolling below me. Thank you for all of your submissions this week. I appreciate you so, so, so much. Our live chat today is going to be at our regular time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We're continuing our declutter. We're making some really good progress. I'm going to show you some progress pictures on the screen right now. These are the pictures that my drawers looked like before we started. And this is my one drawer of bronzers, blush, and highlight now. And one thing that's great about this declutter is I really haven't thrown away a whole lot of stuff. A lot of this I'm going to be able to pass on, which makes me so, so happy. But we're not even close to being done, and we're having a lot of fun doing this live. So if you'd like to join us, 10 a.m. Eastern time. If you can't, it's no problem. You can always watch it on the replay. It's housed on my channel page underneath the live tab, or if you're subscribed, it should just be sitting in your subscription feed waiting for you to click if you'd like to watch it. But if you'd like to watch something right now, just from this page, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos over here for you. The bottom one is going to be last week's episode of What's Up in Makeup. It's going to be right there. YouTube's going to pick the top one based on your current viewing history. But if you gotta go, I totally get it. It is no problem. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did. And mad love to you. I will see you in a video very, very soon.